Hello everybody, welcome along to our webinar today. My name's Andrew Sims. Thank you for joining us this fine Friday afternoon. So we're here today to have a look at SuiteFiles. I believe you've probably all come to the Xero Roadshows recently in Australia and decided and had to speak to or had talked to someone on one of our SuiteFile stands, and they've given you the option to come along and see a bit more of a demo of how the SuiteFile system works. So thanks first of all for coming to speak to us at the Roadshows, and then also thanks for signing up and coming to our webinars today. So as I said, my name's Andrew Sims. I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at SuiteFiles, and we're going to spend the next hour having a look at the SuiteFile system. It'll probably actually only take us about 45 minutes to go through the demo, and then there'll be a bit of time at the end for questions. And please do feel free to ask questions along the way. In terms of just some housekeeping in order to get the most out of today's demo, first of all, we are recording this, so the record button is on, it's live, and we will be packaging up that recording and sending it out to you early next week. We'll also send it out to anyone who has registered but actually couldn't make it along today. As I mentioned about questions, if you've got questions, please type them into the Zoom control panel. I don't have that control panel open right now, but what I will do is open it up at the end of the session and we can go back over any questions that have come up. But I always do recommend that you type those questions into the control panel when they come to mind so that they're not forgotten about, and we can actually address those questions during the session today. And then always to get the most out of any kind of webinar, if you've got any other applications or browser windows open, anything that might flash, obviously if you close those, you're going to get more out of today's session and not be distracted. So it'll enhance that webinar experience. And also if there's any kind of bandwidth issues that you might have at your end, applications that are open would minimize that if you close them down. Okay, well, thanks for that, and now let's get into it. So on the agenda today, what I'd like to do is just provide an introduction into who we are here at SuiteFiles and just give you a bit of background about us. We're then going to have a look at how SuiteFiles can work for your business, and in particular, how accounting practices across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Canada, South Africa, and the UK are all using SuiteFiles. And then I'm going to have just a really quick conversation about how you can get started, and in particular, migrating to SuiteFiles. Okay, so who is SuiteFiles? Well, we're a small business. We're based in Wellington in New Zealand. We've been in operation for 8 years now, or just about 8 years in April. And the SuiteFiles application itself has been in circulation and in use by accounting firms for just over 7 years now. Our very first customers were accounting practices here in New Zealand. It says on the slide there that business is better in the cloud. We are what you would call, some people call a born in the cloud organization. Everything that we do is cloud-based. Every system that we use is cloud-based. So we're kind of trying to live that dream that we keep telling people about, which is get everything into the cloud, turn the server off, and make sure that you get all those benefits of being cloud-based. Access from anywhere at any time, just through the simplicity of an internet browser and an internet connection. We are built on Microsoft's cloud platform. Everything we do is Microsoft-based, and we've won some awards down here in New Zealand for our work on the Microsoft cloud platform. So SuiteFiles is built on top of the Office 365 platform from Microsoft. An important thing to understand is that to use SuiteFiles, you do need an Office 365 account. What's really interesting and useful to know about that is the files are stored in your Office 365 account under your control with Microsoft. We're not storing those files for you anywhere. That means that if at any point in time you decide that you don't want to use SuiteFiles, heaven forbid, you can turn SuiteFiles off and all of your files are still sitting in your Office 365 account. Also, a really important piece of information for accounting firms everywhere is where is the information and the data being held, and for Australia, New Zealand, South Pacific clients of Microsoft's, those data centers are actually in Melbourne and Sydney. So for all Australian accountants out there, the data is sitting in Australia. It's not offshore. We've been involved with Xero as a part of their Modern Practice Initiative since they actually launched that. They actually first launched the Modern Practice Initiative way, way back, actually before SuiteFiles even started as SuiteFiles. We were another business before that, and decided that they'll go on a journey to promoting to accounting firms that they should turn their servers off and do everything in the cloud. And so we've been a part of that journey with Xero right from day one. SuiteFiles is designed for the small to medium business, so that's really important to understand. The SuiteFiles application is not an enterprise scale application that's sort of been dumbed down, as it were, to use for a small to medium business. We haven't pulled features out that make it usable for you. And likewise, it's not a consumer application. It's not the kind of thing that you'd use at home for storing your own files in, that we've then tried to scale up to be sitting in that business space. So we've actually designed this specifically for small to medium businesses, and you'll find when you go out there that the background of most document management systems is not that. It is either consumer based or enterprise based, but we've taken a different tack to that. And then we've done our things for accountants. So our integration with Xero, our integration with the Xero Practice Manager and how all that works, and we'll get right into the bowels of that as we go through the demo today. So why did we build SuiteFiles? What's the problem that we're trying to solve? And it's pretty straightforward. We really wanted to provide a fantastic cloud-based document management system for businesses that wanted to turn that server off, and they wanted a really simple, easy transition to get into the cloud. And as far as accountants are concerned, it's what is the integration points that we provide with Xero, which obviously, if you're going on that cloud journey, is the dominant solution in the marketplace for accountants at this stage. Okay, see for yourself. So let's have a look around SuiteFiles. I'll show you through our live demo sites and take you through a number of things here. So let me switch over here and come into SuiteFiles. So on the screen now, I have the SuiteFiles system. So this is the browser interface to SuiteFiles. All of the documents, as I mentioned, are sitting in the Office 365 data centers. For the site, the data centers are it's either Melbourne or Sydney, and we can navigate our way around and we can find all of our files. So just like you'll be used to with a file server in Windows Explorer, we have folders and we have files. So over on the left-hand side of SuiteFiles here, you can see we've got 9 or 10 subfolders here, and in particular, you're probably interested in the clients folder, and we've got a bunch of client subfolders in here that we can drill into, and we can see more subfolders and more files. The files, when they appear, as you can see, they appear in the middle of the screen, and there's a big long list of them that appear in that folder. There's some things we can do to get around the system nice and quickly. In particular, one of my personal favorite features in SuiteFiles is our ability to have personal favorite folders and files. So if you want, if you're working on a folder or a file regularly and you want to be able to go back to it very quickly, you don't have to navigate, you don't have to search. All you need to do is use this favorites option up in the top menu of the screen here. And what you can see when you click on that is I've got 10 files and 4 folders that are marked as my personal favorites. I can click on any one of these files and just open it up from its source, or I can go into the folders and I can click on a folder and it's going to take me straight to the content of that folder. Now, to turn a file into a personal favorite, it's really easy. There are stars over to the right-hand side of every file name. Just click on one of those, or as many as you need, and those documents will now be added to my personal favorites. Likewise with folders, I should say, you can see this jobs folder is actually marked as a favorite. I can't unmark it or unstar it from there, but I can come into the jobs folder, and you can see at the top left of the screen here where we've got the folder paths, I can click on the star there and unmark it as a favorite. Go back into favorites, And you can see I've got the new files and the folders in there. As well as using favorites, we can do things like use our folder filter feature for getting through, in particular, subfolders with lots of folders in them, or folders with lots of subfolders in them, I should say. So you can see here my client folder, I've got 421 subfolders, it tells me, at the top right of the screen. And I can scroll down through the list and you can see it's taken a little bit of time. Now we have a couple of clients that have many thousands, tens of thousands of client subfolders. So scrolling through that list is going to be a bit of a pain. So what we can do is we can use this filtering feature. So if I click into the filter, I type a letter, or more than one letter if I want to, and hit enter, you'll be able to see very quickly all the subfolders that start with that letter or the text that I've typed into that text box. You can, of course, type more than just one letter in here if you want to. Let's look for all the subfolders that start with ABC. There they are there. Very quickly, we can drill in and find the content that we're looking for. Then finally, the last way to get around the system is using search. Search is really powerful and works in a couple of different ways. So first of all, if we click into the search text box and just type some content, I'll type the word test, what you get is what we call our quick search results. So we've got some client folders. So every client folder that has the word test in it, being the text that I typed into that box, will appear in the list. And then we've got 7 or so files that will appear, and then also some other subfolders that appear within the drop down here. Now this is quick search. It's designed to give you a quick but not necessarily comprehensive set of results. In particular, when I say not comprehensive, I'm talking about the files that have been displayed in here. It's quite possible that when you're searching for a file, you type a few letters or words into the text box for the search, and the quick search doesn't show you what you need. So what you have to do at that point in time is use our advanced search. And all I do is just hit enter. That's now going to search over my entire file system. And I can find every document that has the word test associated with it. So now I've gone from 7 to 371 results. I can refine these results and drill into it based on some metadata around the files. In particular, you could be using the file type. There you go. There are all the Excel files that meet the criteria of the word test. Likewise, you could be using information about clients. So we could drill into various client folders and see all the files in there that meet the criteria. Or we could be looking at financial years, who last modified a file, or when the file was actually last modified. So yeah, we can use the metadata associated to the files with drilling down to refine those results. Okay, that's a really good just sort of intro into how to get around the browser and how to access all of your files within SuiteFiles. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over and show you how things work with our Xero Practice Manager integration and get a little bit more into some of the key features that accountants are looking for, or the feedback we're getting from accountants when they're looking at SuiteFiles. So here we go, we're in the Xero Practice Manager. And what we can do is we can come into a client and we'll be able to actually link that client record directly to our client folder within SuiteFiles. Now the way this all works is the Practice Manager, you've got a client name, and if we've got a matching client name or client folder sitting under the clients folder in SuiteFiles, so we've got this 50/50 accounting folder here, what happens is this URL or link is injected into the page, and that's actually a direct link to go to that client folder. I can click on it and you'll see that it's going to take us straight to that client folder. You'll be able to see all of your files working with that you can work off within SuiteFiles. Now that's fine. Let's just work through a scenario. Maybe you're going to get a new client that you're going to set up in the Practice Manager, and how do we get that new client all set up and ready to go so that we get the most out of integrating with SuiteFiles? So let's let's go through the process. Sorry, I need to go back to the client screen. And we need to create a new client here. And when we do this, we just need to give the client a name. And we click Save. What happens now is the practice manager looks inside SuiteFiles and determines whether a client folder for that client already exists or not. And if the answer is no, we get the screen, little form that pops up, and it asks us, do we want to create this new client folder in SuiteFiles? The answer, of course, is yes, we want to do that. We want to get everything set up and working correctly. And we also have the option to use what we call a folder template. So this is a standard set of subfolders that we wish to set up under the new folder that we're creating. So in this case, let's use our new client company folders. And we click Create. So that's going to create the new client folder in SuiteFiles with a series of subfolders underneath it. We've injected our link here, so we can click on that link and it's going to take us straight through to the client folder in SuiteFiles, and you can see here's our subfolders, and the subfolders can go down multiple levels as well. You can see I've got another level of subfolders there under that 2019 financial year folder. So that was really easy and simple to do from the practice manager. Also, if you want to rename the client from the practice manager, SuiteFiles or the system will ask you, would you like to rename the client folder within SuiteFiles? And if you want to archive the client within the practice manager, you'll get asked, would you like to archive the client folder within SuiteFiles? So trying to keep the two things aligned. What I'd like to do now is also just show you this Documents tab. So this is something that's brand new. It's about to be launched from our team. And this is when you click into that Documents tab, we've actually got a view of everything that is sitting in the SuiteFile system in here that you can access. You can navigate your way around the folders. We've got no files in here at the moment, so let's just go back to this client folder. We'll come into here and we'll find a file, and I'm going to upload it into SuiteFiles. You can take any file off your file system and upload it to SuiteFiles just by dragging and dropping it into the browser, and you can see that file in there now. If we go back to the practice manager and just refresh the view here, you can see there's our file as well. So we can access any folder or any file for this client within SuiteFiles from this view of all of your folders and files just here. Let's go back to the details screen, and what I'd like to do now is just fill in more information about our client and complete everything in the list here. So we're a company, we've got a partner and a manager associated to the client. Let's put an address in here. Bear with me while I just do this. And some tax info. I'm going to mark them requiring a few GST things. And then we've got some custom fields that have been set up in my Xero Practice Manager, and I can fill these custom fields in with information about my client. And I'm going to do the services required as well. So these are just check boxes for all the services that my client or this client is going to get from us. And we're going to click Save. Last thing I want to do is just add a contact, because I want some primary contact details for this client. So let's say Harry. And click Save. Okay, I've got enough information now to take things to the next level and show you how we can use that info within document and also email templates within SuiteFiles. So if we go back to SuiteFiles, what I'm going to do is take you into our template gallery. So these are a bunch of templates that we've set up ourselves within our SuiteFiles site. Most of them are all sort of demo things, but I do have one in here which is really good for today, which is our XPM demo letter. So what you can see with this document is that the template has these custom fields or tags sitting inside them. Now these fields are bits of information that we can pull back from the Xero Practice Manager and use to pre-populate the template with information about our client. Some of the fields are just a straight swap of information, so the business name, that's pretty straightforward. With addresses, sometimes you might have a physical address and sometimes you might have a postal address and sometimes you might have both for your clients. And rather than having to put tags in to cover all those options, we've got logic built into these tags here, which default to the postal address, and if that doesn't exist, we'll use the physical address. More straight swaps here of information from the practice manager. Then we get to some other logic that we can put into these documents, and this is really around these fields we've got down here. So these yes, no, true, false values that you've got inside the practice manager that we've set up. In particular, I'm going to show you an example with this received newsletter service. We've said no. Now, in our template here, there's a line where we're confirming some of the things that we want the client to acknowledge, and we're saying in here you do or you do not wish to receive our monthly newsletter, and we've got quite a long custom field in here, but it's checking the logic of that value for the newsletter, and if the value is no, we're going to inject do not into the sentence. And we've got some more fields like that down here around whether the client is GST registered and those sorts of things as well. So pretty quickly you can put together some quite comprehensive templates, and you can use the information from the practice manager to populate those templates, and as long as the practice manager is the source of truth for your information, you're going to get it right. You're going to know that the correct information is going to that document. People are not going to make mistakes through either just typos or copying and pasting into the wrong areas. Everything is just all going to work and flow through. How does that work? Well, let's go back to our client folder, and we're going to create a new file from our file template, and we're going to choose the file template that we were just looking at. So that's our XPM demo letter. And you can see when we click on the template, we've got a few options now down the bottom of the screen. One is to give the new document that we're going to create a name, and the other is to choose a client. So what I can do here is I can start typing in my client name, and as you can see, Reef Surfboards Pty Ltd doesn't show up. Now that's simply because we've just created that client in the practice manager, and the system hasn't quite yet had a chance to refresh the cache of client information sitting in SuiteFiles. So all we need to do is click refresh. That's going to now pull back all that latest information. You only need to do it once, and now Real Surfboards is actually going to be in my client list. I can choose that. My document name has been updated to include not just the name of the template, but also the client name at the end of it, and I can click create. What happens now is in the folder that we're in, so that Real Surfboards folder, we're going to create a new document based on that file template, and we're going to pre-populate it with information about our client. So you can see business name, the postal address, the name of the primary contact. You can see that we do not wish to receive the monthly newsletter. You can see all the services that are required, and some information about the GST payments as well. So really simple, really easy. And you've got that document there very, very quickly in your system. And of course, if we go back to the practice manager here and go back to that documents tab, you'll see when we open that up that that file that we've just created is sitting in this tab here as well. Okay, what I want to do now is switch over to having a look at our email management. So I'm going to open up Outlook, add my demo profile. When this opens up, what you'll see over on the right-hand side of Outlook is an add-in that we've got, and it's our SuiteFiles Outlook add-in, and this is connected to exactly the same SuiteFiles site that we've just been looking at as a part of our demo. And in fact, let's just prove that. We'll go and have a look at, it's Reef, isn't it? Reef surfboards, there they are there. We can drill in and you can see there's the folders and there are the 2 files that we've just created. So all there, ready to go. Now, the whole purpose of this add-in is to try and get information very quickly and easily out of your inbox and into your file management system. Why would you want to do that? Well, this email that I've got open at the moment, this Chocolate Factory welcome aboard email, you can see it's got an attachment and it's got some body text in it. Well, that email is sitting in my file system, sorry, in my inbox, and no one else can see it and look at the information. The only way that I currently have to share this email with other people is to forward it on to them. When I forward that email on to them, I'm taking a punt that the people I send it on to are actually interested in reading the email and have time, and they're not just going to either delete it or file it somewhere that they don't look at ever again. What I can do though is I can file this information into SuiteFiles very quickly and easily, and then it's there for all time for people to refer to whenever they need it, and they don't have to drill down into their own inboxes or come and ask me for it again. So I can easily save the attachments. I've got the email open in the preview pane here, and I can literally just click on an attachment and drag it over to the SuiteFiles Outlook add-in, and you can see there it is. It's just loaded into SuiteFiles just like that. To show you what I mean, let's go back to SuiteFiles and open up, and there you go. There's that Welcome to SuiteFiles Chocolate Factory document that is loaded up. So that's how you can get attachments in. You might also want to get whole emails, so the attachments and the content of the email saved into SuiteFiles. That's just as easy. We can drag that email from our inbox over to the SuiteFiles Outlook add-in, and there it is. It's loaded into SuiteFiles there now. And if we go back to the browser just to prove the point, we refresh this screen here, you can see there's that email loaded into the system just now. So getting information into SuiteFiles from your inbox is very, very simple. Now, getting information out of your inbox, out of SuiteFiles and attaching it to emails to send to people is also very simple. We can simply click on a new email. We click the Attach from SuiteFiles button. The browser comes up. We can navigate our way around, find our real surfboards, and we can click on a file, and they're just going to get loaded into that email for sending. So that's, again, very straightforward. Now, just as we have document templates, we can also have email templates. Creating an email template is really simple. It's just type in the content of your email that you require and click this Save As Email button at the top of the screen here. When you've got an email set up and you wish to use it, or an email template set up and you wish to use it, you just click the Insert from Template option, and I'm going to use that email there. I'm not going to populate anything at this stage because I wanted to show you what the raw template looks like. What you can see here is we've got the same custom fields or tags that we had in our documents sitting in our emails. So in the subject line, in the body of the email, we've got our custom fields, and then we've got an attachment here. If we open the attachment up, the attachment actually has a custom field in its name, and let's open the attachment. You can see custom fields in here too. So as you can imagine how that works, I would create a new email. I would go Insert from Template, choose our email template. Here's my drop-down list of all of my clients in the Practice Manager. We can click our Reef Surfboards, and we go pre-populate. Now you can see the subject line has been updated. The body text of the email has the right names of people and things in there. The attachment has had its name updated. And we open the attachment, and that's had the custom fields in the attachment updated as well. Finally, when we send the email, we get the option to save on send. So this is saving a copy of the sent email into SuiteFiles, again, so that other people can use it and look at it down the track. We get a few options as to recent places we've saved to. I'm not going to choose that. Let's go for putting it into the Reef Surfboards folder, and we're just going to click Send and File. Take a refresh here, but you can see there's the Reef Surfboards Pty welcome aboard email that has just been sent. And you go, just come back into my inbox. So those emails are now nicely saved into SuiteFiles so that anyone else can access them down the track. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to show you a really exciting new feature that we're just about to launch. It's going to come out in early March, and that's a fully fledged document signing feature where we can take any Word document or PDF file that's sitting inside of SuiteFiles, we can set it up for signing, and we can send it out to our recipients to get signed electronically, and it comes back to us and sits inside the SuiteFiles system once it's done. So I'm just going to show you through this this prototype that we've got here. As I said, this is not actually being launched until early March, and I just want to take you through it this way so that we know that you're actually going to see the things that come out at that point in time. So here we go. We're in SuiteFiles. We've got a PDF file open, and we need to start thinking about how we want this document to be signed. So the signing can be just yourself. Maybe that's just a letter that you're sending out. You want to put your signature into it. Maybe you need to sign it yourself and also request that others sign it, or maybe just other people need to sign this, this document. For our demo, we're just going to do me and others. So what we get here is an option to add in signers. So we can add in just any person that we know that needs to sign the document, or we can actually look up people's contacts within the Xero Practice Manager and get contacts out of there into the system, which means that if we've got their contact details correct, we know that it's going to go to the right person. So let's add a few signers. We want to also make it secure by setting up two-factor authentication. What this means is, and we'll show you as we go through it, is that when the document comes to be finalized for signing by each individual, they will receive a text code that they need to enter to validate that the person who we think is signing the document is actually doing it. You can add another signer. And we can also add a CC recipient. So this, when the file has been signed by everyone, the person in the CC recipients column there will actually receive a copy of that document as well, should they need it. So now we've got our document, we've got our signature blocks where we need things to be set up and signed. We can choose our person who we wish to set up in the first instance. So let's go with Molly, and we want to get her signature. So we put that into the system, and then we can move it around and put it in the right place. And in this case, Molly is actually me because I've got my signature in there already. And then you've got the other signers. Each person has their own color, and we can just move things around and make sure that all the blocks that we need, so signature, name of the signer, and date that was signed, are in the right place. We also have the ability to add a note if we want to. So you can drag a note or add a note from the side panel over on the left-hand side and click some text. This is just an annotation that goes into the document. It's not actually saved in it specifically, and we can add that. So if people need to read it down the track, they can do that. At this point, we click Save and Send. So what's going to happen now, we can obviously add in a message. We're going to send this out to the 3 recipients that we put in, plus also CC Callum into it. So we can put our note that we wish to send in here, and we can also add an expiry date to the file. So if someone's only got 7 days to sign it, for example, you can put a date 7 days into the future. This is optional. We can turn it off if we want to. We'll keep it on for now. Click Send. So the signature request has been sent. In your inbox, Molly was the person who set this up for signing, so the email has come from her, and what you can see is that there's a message that comes to the people who need to actually sign the file. When they want to do the signing, they click the Review Document button, and you can see here we start the process now of actually signing this file. So due for expiration on the 28th of February. click continue, you can see over on the right hand side here for the PDF we've got a couple of places where things need to be signed. So we can go down to where the signatures are required, put a signature in here. There's Roshni's signature, and we can come back over into here. I've already signed it. There we go. We can put Roshni's signature, her name, and her date, and the date that was signed in there. Also, if you want, you can see the notes that were appended, so that there's the note there. And then we finish. At this point in time, when you've signed a file and then you click finish, you're going to receive a text verification code. Enter that and click submit, and that actually does it. So now the job for that user is done. There's a management screen as well that sits inside of SuiteFiles where you can actually see all the information about the documents that you've got set up for signing. So you've obviously got drafts, you've got documents that are in progress, you've got completed files. There's also things, you know, if a document has been declined, you get notifications around that. Someone decides that they don't want to sign it for some reason. And yeah, there's all sorts of different options. We can resend the emails to people, we can reschedule things, share it, archive it, all the sorts of things that we need to do. And that's I guess a really quick overview of the document signing feature that we're really excited about that's coming out in SuiteFiles in just a couple of weeks' time. Right, I'm going to go back to my presentation. That's what I'm going to do. And because I've been through pretty much all of the things that I really want to show you with SuiteFiles so far. So what I want to do now is just have a quick talk about migrations. So we get asked this question all the time. How do I get my files off my current file system, whatever that system might be, and into SuiteFiles? And what are my options around that? Well, when it comes to migration options, I guess there's really two ends of the spectrum. One end is that you would migrate absolutely everything that you've got in your file system without really giving it a second thought. We can just pick it up and take it all over to SuiteFiles. Or the other extreme end of the spectrum is you migrate nothing. And some customers or clients certainly do that. They start with a completely blank SuiteFiles and slowly but surely populate it with information as they go. You can also do some things in between. Maybe you want to don't want to migrate all of your old files for one reason or another, but you actually want to have all of your client folders set up with subfolders underneath them. And there are certainly ways that we can help you out to do that very quickly and easily. What can be migrated? Well, pretty much anything. So any files can be migrated into SuiteFiles. There are some files that Office 365 won't accept, some sort of code, developer type files that are executable that might do nasty things to the Office 365 servers. They don't want those in SuiteFiles. But for an accounting practice or any professional services business, if you've got Office documents, PDFs, emails, you'll have some image files too, I imagine. Those would be the main file types that people would want to migrate into SuiteFiles, and they are perfectly fine. There are actually the list of file types that are not allowed in Office 365 anymore has become very small, and as I say, you can find that you could migrate most things that you want. For those of you out there who have been using MYOB and you might have client MYOB files that you wish to upload, they're obviously quite large files and you might want to think twice about whether you want to have them in SuiteFiles or keep them somewhere else. You can absolutely store them in SuiteFiles, but it might be just more efficient for you to keep them in other places if need be. What can we migrate from? Well, we can, again, migrate from pretty much anything. I used to say that there's no system we've seen that we can't migrate from. I did see a really interesting implementation of the CCH document manager a few weeks back, which we couldn't work out how to get the files out of. It was just simply too complex for us. But pretty much every other file management system that we've come across, we have a way to be able to extract the files from those systems, and we take a copy of those files and put them onto the file server, and then we can upload those files and folders on the file server directly into SuiteFiles. And what's the process? Well, it's a reasonably defined process. The first thing that we need to do is have a look at whatever file system you currently have, and just do a very quick evaluation. That evaluation takes roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Because we've seen so many different file systems now, we've got some patterns in play for things that we need to look at. So what we do is we have a look at your file system. We can then work out a plan. How are we going to attack this? How are we going to either extract files if need be, or if we don't need to extract files, just simply pick them up off your current file server. With that plan in place, we target a Friday or a weekend, and we wish to start migrating on a Friday night after you've finished work for the day, or for the week, I should say. And if an extraction is required, as I say, we extract all the files from the current file system into the file server in a structure that you're going to use going forward in SuiteFiles. And then we can run our migration tool over that folder structure and upload it into SuiteFiles as it is. 99 times out of 100, that migration completes by Monday morning. People often ask me, well, what would cause it not to complete? If it didn't complete, it would be because there are there is a considerable volume of data to be uploaded. Maybe your internet connection speed is too slow, or maybe the server that we're running this process from actually is a bit old and that is slow as well. Most of those things we'll be able to work out beforehand and at least advise and say that we think this will be slow. Every now and then, though, something goes wrong in the middle of it, things that are a bit beyond anyone's control. We actually had a migration a few weeks ago where the power supply to the client's network went down, and so there was no internet connection, and nothing could upload for a few hours as a result. So you can get those things. Very rare, and as I say, 99 times out of 100 will migrate you over the course of the weekend, and you'll be up and running by Monday morning. Come into the office on Monday and we can help train you. And we run training sessions Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays each week, 4 different flavors of training session based on different user needs. Sort of a standard session for SuiteFiles, a more advanced session for SuiteFiles, a session for administrators, and a session about our Xero Practice Manager integration. Hopefully by the time you've finished all the training and we've done the migration, you're really good to go, and you can start to become a very productive user of SuiteFiles. What's next? So after sitting through this and listening to me talk, what would I recommend that you do next? Well, I would recommend that you get yourself a free 30-day trial of SuiteFiles. Changing your file system is often the last piece of the puzzle that any business goes through when turning off their server and going to the cloud. That's generally because it's often deemed to be, or has in the past been perceived to be, a tough thing to do. What it is, it's not really tough. There is a process involved, and if you follow it, it can be relatively straightforward. But what it is it is a key decision point. You don't sort of run 2 document management systems. You don't keep a copy of your of your files in 2 different places, because then you don't have a source of truth. So we really do recommend that people do our free 30-day trial and make sure that they understand exactly how SuiteFiles works, and that it is going to be the solution for their business. Because once you pull the trigger and hit go, it's not that there's no coming back, but you're investing in the process, and you want to make sure that when you get out the other side of the process to migrate and get set up, that you are happy with what you've got. We have three different plans for subscriptions. We've got our starter plan, which is really just our web app and our mobile apps and some of the standard integration with XPM. The standard integration is actually the pre-population of document templates. Our full suite plan, which is currently our most popular plan, that has everything that we saw today except for the document signing. The document signing is going to go into our Pro plan. In the Pro plan, the things that are different around that compared to our full suite plan are we've got going to have document signing in a couple of weeks. We've got secure file sharing, so I can share an individual file with someone externally and make that secure. We've got greater training entitlements, and also for the backup, if you've got more data, you can get more data backed up through our Pro plan. And our website, in case you didn't know it, is www.suitefiles.com. So to get the trial, go to the website. There's a big red button on the top right of the screen. Click on that and complete the form. That form will trigger a process where you'll get an email in response, and if you've already got Office 365, you need to have an administrator of that Office 365 account click a link that comes back so that we can get access to your account so that we can deploy SuiteFiles for you. If you don't have Office 365, that doesn't mean you can't trial SuiteFiles, but what it does mean is you need to set up an Office 365 account to use. Now, Microsoft also offer free 30-day trials for Office 365, so you could set up a trial Office 365 account and put SuiteFiles onto that trial account. Should you decide to go forward, all you need to do then would be to sign up for Office 365 and sign up for SuiteFiles, and we don't have to change anything or move anything around. It all stays in the same place and is good to go. Question time. Okay, I'm going to open up the Zoom console and see what questions we've got. There are a couple here now. Let's bring them over here. What about Google Mail? Okay, so I'm assuming someone, by that question, you want to know, can you use Google Mail with SuiteFiles? And the answer actually is yes, you can. What you need to do, though, is the key thing is that you need to be using Outlook. So you can actually hook up Gmail to Outlook and run all of your email through the Outlook system, and it's the Outlook system with our Outlook add-in that provides the secret sauce behind getting information out of your inbox and into SuiteFiles. Can you have templates for the add message box? Sorry, I'm a bit confused about what the add message box is. Let me just go back into here. I'm just trying to think about where you might have seen the add message box. Sorry. Yeah. Or maybe that's talking about an email. Oh, and the document signing process. Sorry, thank you for clarifying that. There is a standard. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's go and find it. So when you're sending the email, so let's come through here. Sorry, it's going to take a bit of time to get to it. When you're sending the email, what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's a template or a standard message that you've got that's going out to the recipient. And the answer is yeah. Well, we have a sort of a starter for 10 bit of text that goes into it. So here. And obviously I've just put that in there. Now, what will come up, there will be some standard text which just sort of says, I think from memory it says, hi, so-and-so would like you to sign this file and kind regards. Now you can override the text that's in there. Whether there would, that's a good option though, whether we could put some standard text templates. You might have 2 or 3 different types of document that needs signing that you could set up some text for each of the different types. That's a good question. We haven't got that at the moment, and I'm happy to go back to the guys and talk to them about it. Yeah, and see what they can do. Okay, any other questions? That's all the oh, hang on, there's some things here in the chat as opposed to the Q&A. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Can you customize templates format? Yes, you can. So I assume you're talking about things like the fonts and file sizes and all that sort of stuff. So yes, you can customize all that. Can you set reminders for documents out for signature? Yes, absolutely. You can do that, and we also have the ability to resend the messages as well. Is there a listing of documents that are out waiting for signature? Yes, we had that. If we come into, sorry, I'm just going to keep going through the process here to get to that page. Yeah, here we go. And there, finish. And then if I come down in here, so you've got we've got the screen here, and you can see all the different statuses of the documents that you've got out for signing, and you can go through and and use hang on, the Zoom thing here, and click on the different ones and see what's in progress and what needs to be updated and those sorts of things. You mentioned MYOB files are too large and not advisable. Are you referring to MYOB files for bookkeeping files? So yeah, the .myo file. So the MYOB files that are have all the data for all of the accounting information that you're keeping about your client. Some of them can get quite large. I've seen MYOB files that are up at around anywhere from 800 megabytes to a gigabyte in size. So for big clients that you've done lots of work for and got years and years of history, those MYOB files can get very, very big. If it was a smaller file, sitting at about 5-10 megabytes in size, then absolutely that will get into SuiteFiles, no problem whatsoever. In fact, you can get those bigger files into the system as well. It's just what value they're adding by being there. All right. There's another question in here. How does integration process handle past email? Oh, okay. So emails that you've already got sitting in your inbox, what do you have to do with them? We don't have a way to migrate those into SuiteFiles. Quite honestly, what you need to do is upload them through the SuiteFiles Outlook add-in. You may or you may not wish to do that for all of that old email. Okay, are there any other questions at this time? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch back to our PowerPoint presentation. Let's just get rid of those two things. And all that's really left to do is to say thank you. I really do thank you and appreciate your time on this Friday afternoon. I hope that you've seen something that you enjoy or like, and that you've got an interest in SuiteFiles going forward. I strongly recommend, as I said, that you get on to having a SuiteFiles trial and just test it out. We really want to make sure that you're comfortable with the system and that you're making a good decision going forward for your business. And if you do that, then everyone becomes a winner as a result of it. So yeah, thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a great weekend.